Remember these days? We've come a long way since the beginning of the home shopping experience. We like to do things a little differently now.
If you don't take lift up, I'll kill you.
Okay, we like to do things a lot differently now. Introducing to you the next evolution of online shopping. Say hello to Verb. Engage and interact with customers like never before, and turn your sales team into stars with Verb's unique, interactive, and live approach. Get in front of the largest audience possible and give your customers a feel of exclusivity and ease in a super intuitive sales cycle designed to put prospects in front of products. For any commodity and any customer, market with Verb.
Watching America Trends. I'm Mary Burt-Godwin, and I have the pleasure of speaking with John Dadian. He is the president of Dadian and Associates and government relations and public affairs firm. And we're talking about these Trump indictments. The latest fourth one just came out. I was going to ask you two questions. One is, do you see more cases coming out, or is this are we done?
It looks like we're done.
Okay.
But again, let's be specific. We're talking for jurisdictions, but in several jurisdictions like the federal, there's several charges. I mean, I forget the number, but it's quite a bit, over 20, whatever.
Okay, got it. And then, you know, before the break, we were talking about the divisiveness of the country. And so talk to me about how you think, do you see that it's changed over the years? I mean, I know for sure in my lifetime, it certainly feels that it's incredibly divisive now, more than ever. But you know, how do you see that having, you know, lived the years that you've lived?
It absolutely has changed, and the classic example I will give that I tell people a lot, etc., is Ronald Reagan was considered very conservative. The Democratic Party for decades had control of Congress. I didn't think it ever changed in my lifetime. It's changed several times. But Tip O'Neill was considered extremely liberal, was the Speaker of the House. They disagreed on every issue, welfare, immigration, etc. One thing they had in common was their Irish ancestry, and they would meet in the Oval Office once a month with no staff around. Staff tried to say, Mr. President, we need to be here. He's the Speaker. No, do it personally. And I hate to use stereotypes, but Irish Tip O'Neill was a big drinker.
Okay.
So he would drink, he would have Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
Ronald Reagan told Tip that he was drinking Irish whiskey, but because he had alcoholism in his family, he didn't drink on regular. So he had apple juice, etc. But the point is, for an hour once a month, doesn't seem like a lot, but those two would be in the Oval Office and not talk about politics. They would talk about how Tip, what's going on, how you're doing, how's the health, how's the kids, etc.
Actually have the human connection.
And there's a great example of, in their eyes, I disagree with you, and I'll say that publicly, but you're a public servant, you're a nice guy, you're doing the right thing, I'm president, I'm doing the right thing. That has changed. That has changed. Now I see the divisiveness that they're saying, if I disagree with you, you're a bad person. And that's unfortunate.
It's really hard. I mean, I disagree with half of this crew. But we are all good friends, and we can talk about issues, and we can that's what we try to do on this show here, is get to the heart of the matter and figure out where we can agree and how we can civilly talk about them instead of being so divisive.
I'll give you a quick personal example. Again, I have a background in Republican politics. I've worked a lot of campaigns, but I'm in a bar, and a gentleman next to me was a regular. I didn't know him well, but he knew me, etc. This is a classic example. He said to me during the first Trump campaign, he said to me, "Are you a Trump supporter?" He was stunned by my answer, totally speechless, because I said to him, "What's your definition of a Trump supporter?" And he didn't know how to respond. And the point is, and I'm using myself as an example, is when President Trump was running against Secretary Hillary Clinton, okay, they disagreed on the top 10 issues. So I thought it was a no-brainer. I agreed with Trump on the top 10 issues. However, I didn't like what he said about women. I didn't like his name calling, which I stopped in the second grade, etc. So, you know, I'll leave it to anybody else. You describe me however you want, whether or not do you call that a Trump supporter.
Right, and I think that that is, you know, a big thing right now is that I feel like it might be dividing the party a little bit, because people who are for the issues, like you're saying, the top 10 issues, that's Republican, and then that's, you know, we can talk about that. But when you start getting into possibly breaking the law and or name calling or whatever all the things are, it's a little bit more challenging to be cut and dry about it.
Keep in mind, when Trump first ran, there was a large group of prominent Republicans, big name Republicans, good names, conservatives, that formed an informal group called a Never Trumper. And that goes back to when he first ran. So as the years evolved, and now Trump has criminal charges, these people are basically saying, I told you so.
Yeah, right.
But my point is, when you talked about divisiveness, not only in general, but in the Republican Party, it's always kind of been there because Trump never had the old establishment type. He, quite frankly, and that's why he's still high in the polls, he has what I call the average man and woman on the street.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about now, speaking of divisiveness, Hunter Biden is also in the news. So he's got charges against him, and we thought that maybe they'd be pardoned, but I was just listening to a podcast today that now he's probably going to go to trial. What do you see as the future for Mr. Hunter Biden?
I think he's in trouble because, clearly just all of us just reading the public documents, et cetera. I keep using the term, it doesn't pass the smell test. I mean, he has done so many bad things. And again, on these specific charges, I think they've got him dead to rights, no pun intended. So I don't see, if he goes to trial, I don't see what their argument is, what the defense is,
right,
et cetera. Especially, again, I'm going to unfortunately compare him to Trump in the sense that I said Trump is his own worst enemy. I mean, Hunter Biden,
sure,
he's the one who posted pictures of him with a gun.
Right.
He's the one who posted pictures
sure
of himself doing cocaine, et cetera. If he hadn't done that,
yeah,
none of these charges would be there. So I don't see, to use a layman's term, I don't see how he gets out of it.
So what does that then mean for President Biden? I mean, I see that really being a stick or a source of pain for President Biden as he's trying to rerun for re-election and having these charges against his son.
It's certainly, obviously, it's a pain personally, but no, I don't think it affects the campaign. I don't think it affects politics because, again, quite bluntly, and I just described it, everything that Hunter Biden is accused of, both things he's charged with and things he's not charged with, using prostitutes, et cetera, it's all out there already. So I don't see how any more this can hurt President Biden. Now, here's a little interesting thing to watch on the issue of Hunter Biden being basically what I call a bad guy, is what happened when Trump first ran in the debates with Hillary Clinton. He hit some hot buttons that kind of irritated her and kind of threw the debates off. And that's what you do in a debate. You try to throw your opponent off. So it's going to be interesting. I'm watching to see if there are presidential debates with former President Trump, with President Biden. Trump probably will say some things about Hunter.
Which will rile up President Biden, for sure, as it should, because, as a parent, you think, don't talk about my kid.
It's going to be very tough for him to keep control.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, John Dadian. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for breaking it down for us. Trump and Hunter Biden in the news again. And we are here every night of the week on America Trends on BizTV.com. We'll see you again tomorrow night. Have a good evening.